Right, last episode I've committed to fixing this GDM 90s legend Nissan Pulsar GTI-R. In the video I promised that I would source new parts for this and get it on the road, so that's exactly what I've been doing. So in this episode we're going to be doing some coolant stuff on the engine like I promised in the last episode, and later on I'll show you what I've just bought.
Just going to have to strip away and hopefully remember where it all goes. Right, so first things first, I think we're just going to take this off and expose everything that we can expose. And go for there. I'm also going to need to lay the pipes out and say, right, that is that pipe, swap it, that is that pipe, swap it. It's been a while since I worked on this. I'm not getting much deja vu. It just like bringing back bad memories actually. What did they know? I forgot. Right, bring the camera in. Something I'm going to show you guys just while I've took that off. Every single injector is loose. They don't have the clip in them, so I'm going to have to try and find them. No clip. No clip. So that's no good. And where is all the vacuum? All this vacuum here. See all these wee bits here? I think that might be too thick of a vacuum pipe there. They shouldn't really be on that, unless that is a thicker vacuum. I'm not sure, but I think I'm going to want to replace all of them. People got a lot of bother with these, I think, so they don't look too bad. I might have already done that, but we might do it again, revisit it. Right, that fuel's all going to have to come off, that's going to have to come off, that vacuum there's going to have to come off. For the regulator, that's the regulator, it's vacuum down there, into a T-junction, and then goes round into the turbo, does it? Yep, into turbo actuator. That one comes off, that's a wee solenoid thing. Dump valve, you're coming off next. And it's going to be easiest. And then we're going to need to get down in the back and crack all of these off. You can see there's a new Jubilee clip on there, where I've been down in the back before doing the manifold. And we've got missing nuts and bolts and the wrong fittings and stuff for this rocker cover. So we're going to get a new kit for that, because I don't think that's too much of an ask. I used to be able to get this off in 20 minutes. It's going to take me 20 minutes to even figure out what I used to do. But I used to be quick at getting this off. Right, dump valve, gone.
To remove the inlet manifold, we basically need to disconnect anything that's attached to it. That includes the dump valve, injector loom as we're removing the fuel rail along with it, breather piping and throttle cable, some earth straps, fuel supply to and from the pressure regulator, vacuum lines, and then there's some plugs down the back to disconnect along with a couple of coolant pipes. Once that's done, it's a tedious job of working the nuts that hold the manifold on off, being careful not to drop any.
When I was explaining before about difficulties with some of this work in here that I remember, is getting the nuts right down in the back. And when you can crack it off with a spanner, with the ratchet spanner, it becomes slack that you can't actually, it becomes that slack that you can't actually use a spanner anymore, and it's impossible to get your fingers in there. So I nudged it round with a screwdriver, and then so that it doesn't drop. I've never done this before, but I'm turning it with a magnet slightly and hoping that when it's loose enough, that didn't happen. The magnet was supposed to catch it when it became loose and it knocked it down. We need to find that when that inlet man. This is what I'm talking about. That one, and the hardest part's putting it back on and getting that nut on and getting it started. Anyway, right, there's something holding it on. It's that there. I knew there was something else, but I've created, there's another wee pipe there. Oh, there we go. All right, okay. These, 1, 2, 3, need to come off. Yes! Champion!
Now with access, I can show the pipes we need to replace. This one at the back holds a spring inside that I've mentioned before. First job is to tackle the easier and more obvious pipes. So we started with the 2 heater hoses, comparing each hose I remove to the appropriate replacement in the kit. After that, it's time to tackle the least favourite. Quick pause a moment, just want to show you guys, stop the time lapse just to give you a little update. So here is the coolant pipes that I've taken off the back. You can see that one was the one with the number, and this is the one with the spring inside. So we need to make sure that we cross the spring over into this new one. I have 2 new hoses on here, I've got new fittings on them. I need to tighten this one up. I just kind of gave it a twist for alignment purposes. So I've got 2 in here, we're putting new fittings on, new fittings down the back as well there. Just doing a process of elimination, so I'll put my light on so that we can see down here. And so we have a coolant pipe here, coolant pipe there. So these are all just ones we're going to have to remove one at a time and then try and cross them over with anything we can find. Also, when I look down in here, there's a little coolant pipe down in there. So, but the thing that I've realised in the kit, I don't seem to have the elbow hoses for the radiator, and I don't seem to have this radiator hose in the kit either. I thought the full kit replaced everything, but I'm going to see if I can source them separate. These are all the little ones we have left, so we're going to have to work through them all and just try and do them one at a time until I have none left, and hopefully I've covered them all. A little bit of investigation work there. But that's where I'm at. I just wanted to show you guys the spring and where we're at. This is down the back of the engine. So obviously we've got starter motor there, oil cooler there, oil filter there. Down in there is, you can see that wire there, that's a knock sensor. I did have a code for the knock sensor, so I'm actually going to replace that. Although the code might not have been for the actual knock sensor, it could have been because it's detecting knock, but a bit suspect wiring in there as well, so we're going to have to give it some attention just while we're here because it's easy access, and tidy up as much as we can under here. These are just some of the plugs that I had to disconnect on the loom to get everything out. There's a better view of the dog mount broken, so we're going to do that one as well. So we've got some good access here. We're going to try and do as much as we can while we're in here and make it all right. I've got a new sensor there for temp sensor, so I'm going to replace that as well. And we'll probably need to get a new inlet manifold gasket and stuff, but I just wanted to give you guys a look down there. This is, we're going to tackle all this area first, then we're going to maybe tackle that inlet manifold, make sure everything's all good with it, and then we can start coming up and out and start freshening everything up in here, maybe paint the rocker cover, get some new bolts and stuff for that. Maybe see if we can get some dress up stuff and make it actually look nice and tidy. Might try and clean all this while it's empty as well. See if we can get a new air hose some sort of way, because I'm not really happy about that one. Right, so back to the wheels. What's my stuff, Michelle? We've picked up these. They're not the best looking. They're going to need a clean up and a couple of touch ups in places, but the fella who sold me them done a really good price on them. I don't know if they fit. I've had a thing with this car where I thought this will be the 3rd set of wheels and none of them have fit. I really should measure them first, but First set I drove all the way to Hull and back, and the centre board was the wrong size, it was too small and it didn't want to machine the wheels out, so we sold the wheels. Another set we had was Rota Grid Drifts that I drove away up the west of Scotland to get, and for some reason they didn't fit either, but I don't think I even tried them on. I think I ended up selling them. They get sold without even getting tyres on them after paying the money to have them refurbished. So in this attempt we're going to fit these. They are apparently 4x100, which is the fit for this. 16 inch, 7 inch wide, so they should be okay without scrubbing. These are 15s, and because this ultra rare suspension that we don't know what it is lowered, I just need to be careful that I'm oh no, I'm going to fill. There's no much gap there at all on this shocker. Are these wider? As long as they're not wider. But the different thing is as well is the ET size. ET is how far the offset of this kind of spoke from the hub. If it's positive or negative, like the wheel sits out here. So this is ET4. Don't know what they are. Oh, it's going to, there's like, you could barely get a 10p down there. I didn't realise how close that was. Bring the camera down, Michelle. There's ET. Go home. Is that a number 4? I don't know if that's a number 4. And these are supposed to be ET4. What's wider? Oh, these don't look as wide as them. No, they're not as wide. They can't be as wide. These look wider than them. I'm not good with wheels. Let's just see if they fit. I think we need spigot rings. Is that right? Spigot rings? Oh, let's just see. Oh, we're off to a good start anyway. Oh, aye, what? No. Right, so there's a bit of movement there, but I think spigot rings would take that up. But it's the stud size now that... Is that enough thread to catch? Let me see. So I think I was going to order new wheel nuts anyway. So I'm not really too bothered about these. I'm not putting the ramp down, I'm just going to see them on, because obviously there's a huge gap here. At the end of the video I'm going to lower the car onto all 4 and we'll get a look at... There's plenty of clearance here if I want to put bigger brakes on as well. Let's just have a look. Do they look good or bad? I think they look alright. So at the end of the video we're going to lower the car down on all four wheels, just to make sure they're not fouling anywhere and we're not scrubbing on the arches. So we'll do that at the end, but I think we might just get away with this. It's the only size wheels that I've ever actually... I actually need to measure the centre board as well, and make sure the spigot rings I've ordered are correct. So there's just a wee bit of wiggle and play in here in the centre. So to stop any nasty vibration or anything, I think you're supposed to put a spigot ring in. So that's, I have ordered some because I knew I was going to pick these up, and the spigot rings were only £5, so they should hopefully be here today as well, so we can team them up. But we're going to jump back into engine bay right now. And keeping with the theme of new parts, we've got some goodies here, just a couple of new sensors that we're going to be fitting to this at this time. This is a knock sensor, sits down the back of the engine and basically just detects any knock which might be occurring internally in the engine, which could be caused by pre-detonation of fuel or something like that. There's a bit of knock happening and it will pick it up. I have actually had a knock sensor code on this car at one point in its life. I do have a way to read codes on this old Legend, which I will show maybe later in the video or another video. But it might not have been a fault with the sensor, it might actually have been picking up some knock with some fueling issue or something like that during my overfueling and kind of stuff, all that kind of problems that we've been having. There's also some untidy wires on the knock sensor itself, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug it, we're going to tidy up the wiring, and we're just going to fit a new sensor. This cost me £40. The reason I'm just doing it is just because of the age of the car, so any new sensor that we can fit to just eliminate any gremlins or possible failures in the future. There might be nothing wrong with that sensor, but while I'm here and I'm in there, and because of the age of it, it just makes sense. You can reach it from below, but while I've got these coolant pipes off with the spring and that in them, it's a lot easier for me to change the sensor. It's literally sitting in there. So I'm going to disconnect it, show you guys the wiring, we're going to tidy that up and we're going to fit this new sensor. Also have a coolant temp sensor which will be running for the ECU, this one. And it is in this knuckle here. So there is two sensors there. That thin one is, I'm sure, is just going to be a small signal one, which is going to feed the gauge in there to tell me my coolant temp for the gauge. And this one is going to tell the ECU. Now this is a pretty important sensor because it's telling the ECU the coolant temp for fueling and stuff. So like I've said in previous videos with the Super Turbo, if you fire up your car, it's on a cold start kind of map to begin with, so there's extra fuel and everything going in because it wants to get up to optimum temperature as quick as it can. So it uses things like coolant temp sensors to tell it when it's up to temperature so it can start backing off some of the extra fuel and stuff. So if there's ever a fault with your coolant temp sensor and it's telling the engine that it's cold even though it is warm, it will keep adding extra fuel in. And we've had overfueling issues and stuff through the MAF sensor before. So again, while I'm here, I have tested this sensor before with a jug of hot water back when I was trying to find out the overfueling issues on the car, and it did work. So I don't think it's faulty in any way, but again, while I'm here, I'm just going to take the chance. That was maybe £15. So let's just put as many new sensors and stuff in this car, which is going to make it more reliable and less likely to have any gremlins or breakdown or anything. So we're going to tackle that as well. So I've just disconnected the clip there, took the pressure off, and it's popped off. So that little silver clip in there, don't know if Michelle can show you, should be on all of these fittings. So one on there and all of the injector ones. And then it's like a 4-prong one that should be on the MAF sensor, which I've hopefully ordered the right one for that as well. Wow. So that's actually PTF tape that's on that. So that's tape on that. I don't know if I put that tape on or whether it was already on and then I put more on. This is the old sensor and new sensor. They are pretty much the same. As long as it's got the fitting, it should send the same signal. The thickness shouldn't really matter, I don't think. This one's got a copper washer on it. This one doesn't, which is why either I've put PTF or someone had PTF or whatever. So copper washer should stop any leaks. So I'm just going to straight swap these over. I'm going to clean that out first though. So we've just cleaned up the surface, so I can just twist this one in. And the washer should seal it. And we shouldn't have any leaks coming from there. I think if we look at this loom here, and we look at the kind of cap, rubber cap here that's over this plug, I think that's what they've tried to imitate using tape on this one, because I'm assuming they've put this wire in by themselves. It's kind of cut and shut job. While we wait on a new kit coming to tidy up the wiring, we can do the hardest part of all, wrestling the coolant pipe with the spring in it back on. Just stop the time lapse for a moment guys to show you this. This is an absolute nightmare to get this fat pipe back on. It not only it runs at a bend and it kind of comes lower to upper, and there's a spring inside. I take it the spring changes the flow of the coolant, or I don't actually know what it does, but see now that I try and get this one on, it's a nightmare, and that one there is equally a nightmare, pretty much because it overlaps from there to there, and so they're quite rigid, the pipes. Even the ones that come off, the old ones, the original ones, so they're a bit of a nightmare. So if you're doing this, it's just a bit of persistence. I'm going to speed it up, but I don't want you guys, if any of you do it on, to think that I've done it super quick, because I really haven't. So I just wanted to give you an insight to that. So we're going to start the time lapse again, and I'm just going to struggle away. Right, if Michelle drops the camera down in here after about a 40-minute struggle with this one pipe alone, we're in. The issue was the spring. I've came on this way first and then tried to loop it over there, but it just kind of get jammed. The hose was getting wedged inside the pipe at the bottom and outside at the top, so I put the screwdriver down in and flicked it down under, which got me the pipe on after about a 40-minute struggle. The other pipe wasn't too bad, the smaller one. We've got all new fittings on there and the pipes are all good. The bad news is that the Amazon parcel hasn't came, so we don't have the heat shrink to repair and tidy up this wiring or the clips for that. But we've got the wheels to do, so we're going to put the wheels on and we're going to lower the car down and we're going to show you what it's like to round off the episode. It's the ET, I think the ET needs to be out this way so that it sits closer to the lip, so your arch isn't miles over your wheel. I think that's too much. I don't think it's fouling, no, because it's spinning, but it means I'm way in the arch, which is, when I drop this, it's going to look shit. So let's drop it and let's make it look shit. So my parts never arrived, and we've tried the wheels on, we're stuck at the coolant issue just now, and the wheels are wrong again. This is the Pulsar, this is why I do not work on this car. Just did. It needs to sit low somehow. Because the profile of the tyre is different. What's the profile of the tyre? 55, 25, 55. 25, 55, and these are 195, 45, so it is a low profile tyre. Oh, I don't know. This is the first time I've ever put different wheels on it and I don't know if I like it. I'm just thinking there, I mean it doesn't look too bad in the camera, but it does look shit there. Look there. It's quite sticking quite far out there. Oh, I don't know. You guys can let me know in the comments, what do you think of the wheels? There, so that angle there kind of tells it. I don't know if the wheel needs to come out and sit more closer to the edge of the arch. But this is it. This is the current wheels, which I can't really do much about because they're paid for, brand new second hand. I mean, I do like the style of the wheel. That looks like a huge gap there. I don't know if it's just because more of the tyre in the old wheel was taking up the space because that's a higher profile. I don't know. You guys, let me know in the comments what you think of the wheels. I think they need to sit out further. Could I space them? Could I get a spacer and move them out? But I think it needs to come out 20mm or something. I really want to put that big spacer on. I don't know if I need to space these out or whether I need a wider wheel with a higher offset. I'm not good with wheels, as you guys can tell. But that's it for this episode. Let me know in the comments what you think of the wheels. Should we stick or should we twist? See, like that, I could get 17s on that. I could get 17s, no 16. I was scared in case it rubbed in the arch, but there's no weight in the car yet and I think it needs to settle. But I could have get 17s in there then, where profile was as low as that. The reason why I didn't go with 17s is because I thought it was close to the lip already. Oh, it's a conundrum, it's a conundrum. Let us know in the comments, stick or twist. If you've liked this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give us a thumbs up. We will see you on the next episode.